I'm John Manzella, and this is the Manzella Report. The U.S. is an unrivaled economic powerhouse, accounting for just 4% of the world's population, yet capturing 24% of global GDP. In 2008, the U.S. and the 20-country Eurozone were nearly equal in size. Today, America's economy is twice as large. Much of this success stems from our commitment to free markets and our ability to attract the world's brightest minds. Yet, policy shifts now threaten to undermine our core advantages through three critical mistakes. One, the abandonment of the international trading system and alienation of our allies when they are needed most to counter China. Two, the weakening of America's innovation powerhouse by defunding research institutions and rejecting the world's smartest students. And three, making U.S. labor shortages worse by deporting law-abiding immigrants. Now, America's economic engine thrives on economies of scale, designed for 8 billion global consumers, not just America's 340 million. But President Trump's on and off again tariff policies have pushed U.S. tariffs to their highest levels since the 1930s. This chaotic approach has created 40-year highs in market uncertainty, causing companies to delay investments and driving down economic growth. Now, these tariffs, combined with threats against Canada and Denmark, plus questionable NATO commitments, have alienated our closest allies. Consequently, they're now scrambling to find new trading partners. In fact, French President Macron recently called Trump's unpredictable tariffs a threat and urged Europe and Asia to seek a third way. China, of course, is exploiting this rift by positioning itself as the more dependable market and already negotiating a trade deal with Japan and South Korea, two staunch American allies. Now, China produces 30% of the world's manufactured goods, but only consumes 13% globally. Its unbalanced, subsidized export model is unsustainable, and since China doesn't play by international rules, any U.S.-China trade agreement is unlikely to succeed. I believe its current trajectory, if not altered, will put the two countries on a collision course. Now, many would argue that the U.S. global trade position is weak, and it is, but not for the reasons you may think. We currently have 16 free trade agreements with 20 countries, representing just 6% of the world's consumers, yet they buy nearly half our exports. This proves that American businesses can compete anywhere when trade barriers fall. The problem: there's 361 regional trade agreements without U.S. participation, and many more are on the horizon. This gives foreign companies advantages over American businesses. Instead of protectionism and isolationism that gives China global leadership, we should rebuild trust with our allies, cooperate to reduce dependence on China, establish new trade agreements, and recommit to institutions like the UN and WTO. Now, I'd like to talk about innovation. During the Cold War, massive R&D investments made America the world's innovation hub. And today, the U.S. hosts 22 of the top 50 universities, compared to just 6 in China and Hong Kong. But Trump is drastically cutting university budgets, just as Beijing is increasing R&D investments through many initiatives, including its Made in China 2025 program. As a result, 75% of U.S. researchers now are considering relocating abroad. What's worse, thousands of international student visas have been revoked with little explanation. Unfortunately, many of us are not aware of the tremendous contributions they provide. They earn 64% of U.S. doctorates in computer science, 57% in engineering, and 54% in mathematics. And nearly half of our Fortune 500 companies were founded by immigrants or their children. It's not a stretch by saying that the absence of the world's most brilliant minds could put American innovation on death row. Instead of slashing research budgets and closing doors to the world's brightest students, the U.S. should boost funding and maintain an open-door policy for the world's most talented. It's important to point out that America doesn't just need the world's future innovators, it also needs immigrants at all skill levels. Today, the U.S. fertility rate is well below the 2.1 replacement level, and we have more than 7 million jobs unfilled. And this shortage will worsen as baby boomers retire. Surprising to many, immigrants pay more taxes than they receive in benefits, and compared to native-born Americans, they're twice as likely to start businesses, 50% more likely to get patents, and less likely to be incarcerated. Immigrants don't take American jobs. They fill critical gaps in areas like construction, hospitality, and agriculture, often from sunup until sundown in 110-degree heat. Yet, the administration is deporting law-abiding immigrants who do jobs Americans won't do. This will result in higher wages and higher inflation. America stands at a critical juncture. Trade isolation, research cuts, immigration restrictions, and ally alienation represent strategic blunders threatening decades of competitive advantage. As I noted, economic uncertainty is at a 40-year high. Our allies are seeking alternative partners. Our innovation pipeline is strangled, and our workforce is shrinking when we need it most. Meanwhile, China has positioned itself as the more reliable partner to nations we're pushing away. The path forward requires immediate course corrections. We must rebuild trust with our allies, invest in innovation, and embrace comprehensive immigration reform. America's economic supremacy was built on openness, innovation, and global engagement. History will judge whether we defend our position or surrender it through self-inflicted wounds. The choice is ours, but time is running out. For detailed analysis on this subject, read my article in Fair Observer magazine or visit the Manzella report. Thank you.